Good morning, Tubaneros. The Eurozone. Hot topic of the hour like a prostitute guest worker's vajayjay. It's not too much of a stretch, though, to say that the Eurozone was built on the Anschluss of East Germany, the former German Democratic Republic, into United Germany. It was the first step toward creating a common currency and the European Union in its present form under the Maastricht Treaty of 1993. Without a united Germany, it's unlikely the Eurozone would or could have come into being at all. This is richly ironic because weren't the East Germans fleeing the darkness of a failed system, its poverty and economic collapse, and escaping into the light of self-governing prosperity? That was exactly the promise made by Helmut Kohl and the German Federal Republic to the East. Now the fate of East Germany has become the fate of Europe. The euro is almost like the former East German mark, on its way to becoming financial toilet paper with little other commodity value beyond the chemicals engraved in the wood pulp it's printed on. Except now there's nowhere for the masses of Europe to run to. They're walled in by an iron curtain of debt. If they try an uprising, as in East Berlin in '53, it'll be NATO troops crushing the unruly masses to keep their banker regimes afloat. The captive nations of the Eurozone have no free zone left to escape the barbed wire of structural adjustment. There's not even the illusion of freedom by looking up into a divided sky. This proves what I expected at the time, that the East German Anschluss only postponed the crisis of the Federal Republic, and that the Maastricht Eurozone only postponed the decline of Western European capitalism. So, as Europe paid the price for German unification, it's time to roll back the Eurozone, not to take it further, not to centralize Europe under the totalitarian rule of central bankers who would rule like Caesars over non-sovereign vassal states. If you think that's the solution, then what was your beef with the Soviet Union about? This reminds me of a book, a whole series of them, written by an American fundamentalist years ago named Hal Lindsey. His bestseller was The Late Great Planet Earth. That one and all of them were built around the same apocalyptic theme, that the Antichrist and Armageddon were around the corner, that the book of Revelation prophesied the empire of the Antichrist arising from the remains of the Roman Empire. Now, there's nothing new in this. Another fundy named Garner Ted Armstrong used to say the same thing about Hitler and the Third Reich. But by Lindsay's day, the likely culprit was foretold by the rise of what was then the European Common Market. Never the USA, of course. Well, add to this the post-Maastricht EU, the US taking on Europe's mantle with NATO uber alles, and that Baptist Bible beater might have been less of a loon than he seems. He might actually be onto something. Unaccountable Caesars ruling a united Atlantic European superstate with NATO at its back, able to dispatch its Praetorian Guard to subdue rebellious provinces, every subject implanted with a barcode microchip, made by Apple no doubt, so that he may neither buy nor sell in the global marketplace without passing the Antichrist credit check. All seems to work, doesn't it? How to foil the hypothetical yet potential new world order of the Antichrist? Europe needs to return to sovereign lira, drachmas, francs, and marks. Britain had the right idea not to buy into a global currency scheme that had all the sound underwriting of Goldman Sachs and the housing market. It was the European housing bubble that popped the euro just as surely as it screwed the dollar. It's time for the southern and eastern rims of Europe to stop playing colonial games with Berlin and Paris and ask the same questions as the Palestinian nationalists in Monty Python's Life of Brian. What have the Romans ever done for us? The aqueduct, sanitation, the roads, irrigation, education, baths, and all the health peace. Except in modern Europe, those things were achieved by national sovereignties under democratic control of their peoples. The regime sought by Eurocentralists is a banker state that would defund all these public expenditures as impediments to recovery. In fact, would destroy what traces remain of self-government and democracy in Europe. Uh-oh, there goes that YouTube line. Hope it's not that damn Hitler again. Hello. Ah, shit. Hey, listen, aren't there some racial realists and such elements on YouTube you need to be fringing with? But you just wanted known that the EU vindicates what you tried to do. Create a Europa rule from Potsdam and flush all this shit like entitlements and democracy and freedom down the crapper. The eternal idea of Europe must take precedence over any one organ, so fuck them. Good dose of occupation is what they need. Well, I hear you, you old Antichrist, you. Maybe with luck, This time they'll occupy you, the European Banking Authority, and NATO.